Hello, TASPA stars. Today in art, we're going to talk about value. Value is the lightness or darkness of a color. Here you can see a value scale. Value scales range usually from the lightest color, or white, to its darkest color, or black. In between, you can see layers of different grays. So that is value. It's the range of light and dark.
Okay, so for our value scale art, we will need a pencil. We will need an eraser. The eraser on the end of your pencil will work. And you'll need a black Sharpie marker or regular marker, colored pencil, crayon, something black to trace over your lines. You also will want something to color with. Choose one color. And my color today, I think I want to do, I'm going to do green. So I'll pull that. All right, so the first step for our value scale art is to take your pencil and draw an X across your paper. Now to do this, I'm going to go corner to corner. So I'm going to look over here and I'm going to draw up the best I can. I'm drawing lightly. I'm not pushing hard because I want to erase these in the end. So I'm just looking where I'm drawing. So I've got my X. Now I want to add vertical and horizontal lines. And these lines intersect at the middle. Now these you can push a little harder. You might not want to at first, but you may push harder on these ones because we will keep these. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add 3 dots on each diagonal line. So I don't want them all to be the same. So I'm going to put some closer, some further away. Maybe this one's further down, here, and here. Maybe this one's super far in. So I'm putting 3 dots in each square on the diagonal line. So now you can see I've got how many dots? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 dots total on my diagonal line. Okay, so next we're going to connect the squares. Okay, so next we're going to connect the dots, creating somewhat of square shapes. So my inside dots will all get connected. My first dot on each line from the center. Next, my middle dots, so my next dot will get connected. And you could use a pencil for this and then go over it with a Sharpie or marker. That might be wiser. And my last dots. Okay. Now one more thing I want to do is I do want to go over those lines I said I was going to keep in the beginning. My vertical line and my horizontal line. You know, vertical means up and down and horizontal means side to side. So next I want to use my eraser and I want to get rid of those diagonal lines that we drew. Those ones I told you to draw soft with or lightly. So I'm getting rid of all my pencil marks, those 2 diagonal lines. Oop. All right, so now I have my image. Here comes the fun part. Now, we're making a value scale, and like we said before, value is a shift from lightness to darkness or darkness to lightness. It's all those colors in between. So I'm going to start with my darkest color, and I'm going to choose 2 squares across from each other. So I'm going to choose this one. I'm going to color it dark. And with colored pencils, in order to color dark, we have to push a little harder. Now you don't want to push so hard you break your pencil, but you do want to put some muscle into it. So you can see I get that rich green color. I'm going to do the same thing diagonally across from it. You can do this with crayons by pushing harder. With markers, you want to go over it twice or 3 times to make it darker. So you'd color it once, you'd let it dry, you'd color it again, let it dry, color it again, and that would give you the darkest color. Let's move on to the next square outside from that. So right here's my darkest. Next is going to be a little darker. So I'm going to color side by side. So I want it a little darker than or lighter than my first one, because we're doing that range of lightness and darkness. So I might have to go over it a couple of times to get it the correct color I want. And I'm going to do the same thing in this one. Ooh, this is a lot of coloring. Now you can do this with a pencil. You don't need to have a colored pencil to do this. And of course my colored pencils needs to be sharpened. You can do this with a regular pencil. You can push it hard and make a dark gray and a lighter gray. So don't think you have to have colored pencils to do this. You can do this with regular pencils. Okay, next one is going to be even lighter than that one. So I'm not pushing that hard on this one. I'm going to go real light. So I'm just barely putting my pencil down. Because I want a light green. And I can show you one trick that you may use if you want to make it a little lighter. You can take your eraser and you can just give it a little rub on top. And that's going to lighten it up a little bit more, but not make it white. So I've got 3 different greens there. I've got a dark green, a medium green, and a light green. And then our last color is white, so we leave it white. Let's go ahead and put our light green here like this one. So I'm going to turn my paper, because it's a little easier for me to work when I turn my paper. And I'm really just using the side, barely touching it to the paper. I think I might want to erase this one too a little, just to create that lightness. So take my eraser and just rub over it lightly. I'm not pushing hard with my eraser, I'm just kind of letting it rub on the paper gently. And remember, our last square is white on this way. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the 4-step value scale again, but this time from the outside in. So if the inside was darkest here, my outside is going to be darkest over here. And this is going to make a really interesting composition or picture. So remember, with our darkness, we need to push. We need to push their dark color. So we're coloring in this outside edge nice and dark. And I'm going to use sharpen again. That's the thing in colored pencils, you're constantly sharpening. Especially when you're pushing hard, because you're using a lot more of the lead. And I'm going to color this one in a little lighter. Not much, just a little lighter. And my lightest. Remember, our lightest, we're barely pushing our pencil down. Or crayon, colored pencil, whatever it is you may be using for your coloring. And for my lightest one, I like to add a little eraser, and that makes it all light. And our middle one, our centerpiece, is going to be white because we go dark to light. Let's go ahead and do our last side, and we will be finishing up our art project for the day. All right, that's dark. I've got to go a little bit lighter than that. So I'm not going to push quite as hard. Ooh, sharpen, sharpen, sharpen. And our last color, remember our lightest one, we barely push. And I'm going to use my eraser again on that, just to lighten it up some more. All right, boys and girls, there is our value scale artwork with geometric forms. Until next time, this is Mr. Phillips. Get creating.